Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Tuesday edition of Benzinga's PreMarket Prep. Spencer Israel here with Joel Elconin. Dennis Dick is maybe around this morning. He got in extremely late last night from coming down from his cottage in northern Canada. So he may stop by later on in this show. He may not. In any case, the show must go on. So Joel and I are here with you this morning. We'll be joined at 8:35 by Nick Shaheen, author of Create Income with Option Spreads and sellspreads.com. In the meantime, a lot to get to today. Big rotation yesterday away from growth into value, looking at names like PayPal and Snap and Square and Roku all getting hit. We, of course, had the big move in AT&T. We'll talk about the follow-through in that from after the open. Ford got its debt rating lowered to junk at Moody's. We're going to talk about the big news of today, which is the Apple iPhone event, and some other headlines that are catching our eye. We'll also keep writing down all the tickers in the chats, and we'll cover as many tickers in our chats as we can. In the meantime, Joel, what's happening here overnight?
Someone went to bed early last night.
Me?
Yeah, you sound a lot better.
Oh, well, give me another day. Yeah, I sound a little better.
All right, S&P futures, nice range overnight, nearly a 20 handle range, more than the range we had from yesterday. It snuck into the 85 handle before I went to bed, so it looked like a rally. 27.85 is your pre-market high. Not much in there at that area. On the downside, we took out an interesting area. You had a pair of lows from Friday and Monday at 29.70. We breached that, but back above it now. So we'll be keying on the pre-market low at 65.5. Crude, nice little move here, up 61 cents at 58.46. Could we be breaking out of this range that's held since August? We will see if we can close above this 58.5 area. Gold in the red by 1240, back under 1,500 at 1498.80. Silver under $18, down 19.7 cents to 17.97. And Bitcoin still doing the 10K two-step here, down $55 at 10,315. So we got a lot to cover here, Mr. Spencer, and I'm just going to let you lead the way.
Well, let's start with AT&T. The news from yesterday morning, of course, that Paul Singer had taken a $3.2 billion stake and called for change in the company. We saw the big pop in the pre-market, and then yesterday we found out afternoon that AT&T had hired Goldman Sachs to defend itself from Elliott Global Management. What did the stock do yesterday?
Defend itself? They defend itself, and a guy boots the stock a couple $100, or not?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're an activist. You got to defend yourself from the activist.
I guess the best quote from yesterday from Dennis was, these institutions are looking and they're seeing TNT up $2.5, $3, and they're saying, book it, Dano. And that's exactly what they did. The pre-market action got ridiculous here. Thought we were going to 40. We didn't quite get to 40. I think we got to 39.91, and then the big size came in, just started selling. That continued all the way to the opening print. Your opening print was, I believe, in the 38 handle. So that was nearly $1.70 off the pre-market high. And yeah, opened 37.82. Gave you a little head fake when it went to 38.14. You made a low at 36.71. So all said and done, a positive day for AT&T. But you look at that big red bar, seeing how much it gave back. You wonder what's going to happen today in it. Minor gap to fill. So if I was looking at this on the long side, maybe wait for it to come back down to 36.37. That was your high on Friday. And good numbers on the upside. Of course, your high of 38.14, still over $1 away from that, and your closing price at 36.71. So took the profits and ran.
You know, it's funny that we had AT&T give it all back on a day where we had a rotation into value. You know,
that's an excellent point, and it was just I got a little too much value, a little bit too much too fast.
So AT&T is a growth stock now. That's what you're saying.
I don't know what AT&T is a 5% dividend stock. That's about it. That's about it.
But yeah, it is interesting because we saw healthcare, materials, financials all get bought, or some healthcare, but mostly financials and materials get bought yesterday. Value getting bought and growth getting sold. The high flyers, Roku, the trade desk, Snapchat, which I guess you can call high flyer this year, all got hit. You saw this major rotation away from those names into names like JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, ConocoPhillips, Schlumberger, all day yesterday. Very strange.
Yeah, and something we've been noting here on the show yesterday, it kind of went into full bloom. Roku, let's just to take a look at a couple of these growth stocks that got hit. Roku, and it had to have a pullback here. Nice big red bar there, trading down 232. You got to figure there'll be at least a 2-day move in this one, trading down 241, trading at the lows of the pre-market session. I mean, if you're looking for a scalp on the long side, folks, because you think these stocks are pulling back, I would be careful on these because, the stock was under $100 at the beginning of August. There's still folks sitting on a ton of profits. Keep an eye on your pre-market low as well. For me, this one, I think, maybe wait for 150.18. That was your low on September 3rd. That's $8.50 away. Also, Shop finally came off the top there. Shopify, big red bar. That one is starting to turn a little bit. That's trading down $1.17. Do see a pair of lows at 348 in this one, just under 348. If you're looking for a potential support area, cover short. Not sure about initiating longs. Zscaler, a stock that I had made some good money shorting, but kind of took my eye off it. I think that has earnings too. Big decline, $85 in the middle of August, now $62. Has bounced out of the $60 area on a few different occasions. Who else goes into the high fly? Oh, Snap.
Yeah.
Snap took a haircut here, giving back a lot of gains. And who else do we want?
PayPal. Did you look at Square?
What about Square?
The trade desk. Okay. What about Square?
Square's just gave you the old head fake yesterday. It took out all that support at 60, goes to 59.07, and then closes back above. So bulls still trying to defend that $70 level here. Also, man, Bank of America. I mean, holy moly. Came in with a small short position in that one, and glad I just kept it small. I actually got rid of it. Just major move in this one. Looking to fill a gap that it had since August 2nd. That's part of your value rotation. JP Morgan, once again, real big day. That's had a major run since the 105 area. What else are we talking about with value here?
The trade desk. TTD. Oh, for value. Schlumberger.
Oh yeah, let's talk about
what a move that had.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. There's an upgrade. Give us the upgrade first.
Yeah, they did have news this morning. That's right. Which is fortuitous timing for Morgan Stanley. They're upgrading Schlumberger to overweight this morning.
Could this be the time that Schlumberger really gets out of here? I don't know. So many rallies have failed here. You're trading up 50 cents at 36.73. Been up the last 5 sessions in a row. Maybe make it 6 today. You got a gap to fill in here from some trading. So I look at 37.19 as a potential resistance point. That was your low on August 2nd. And then things really open up to 38.73. Getting a little help from the oil market, trading up 56 cents. So there you go. You get the upgrade. Nice move here. It's just this stock has had so many false starts in the past. We'll see what happens. Upgrade. Definitely giving it a little bit of help today. William Lay says, nice warning on Roku, Trade Desk, Crowd, and other growth stocks. Joel, I would say, yeah, a little bit me, but I think maybe that was Triple D more on that as far as the warning on the growth to value rotation. But anyways, S&P's still down 4 handles at 29.74 just bouncing around basically in the middle of that 20-point range.
All right. Speaking of dogs, talking about Schlumberger, let's go over to Ford here. Ford, not a headline you want to see this morning. They are actually from yesterday. Moody's downgraded Ford's credit rating to the top tier of junk.
The top that just can't be good.
No, they cited what else? Balance sheet concerns.
Wow. I mean, you talk about a stock that has an offer, a huge offer at every tick. And that rally yesterday, it's just like, okay, take out size at 59. Okay, size at 60, size at 61. All those sellers were correct here. Down 38 cents here, down $9.16, or at 9.16, down 38 cents. Big move for Ford. You come this far. So far, $9 maybe look for. I see a bunch of lows, 903, 910, 904, 907. So let's look for the lower $9 handle. Not good news here. And look at Stomp. Look at that stock, STMP, back at 73.21. I was just kind of tongue in cheek when we were talking about this one filling the gap. Well, there's a couple gaps to fill.
I was going to say, which gap?
82.61 fills the gap from May, and then you got that other gap to work in. But man, what a rally. And when you look at this on the daily, it just doesn't look like much of a rally. Well, it does maybe over the last few weeks. So let's see. Are they due to report soon? I think they are.
Let's find out.
Let's see when STMP. I don't know if is that really?
No, they were out. They were out a month ago.
They were out a month ago.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But going back to Ford here for a second here, I mean, Ford, GM, even someone mentioning NIO in the chat, it's not looking great. Not looking good out there. Not looking good.
Well, I look at the relative strength though for GM versus Ford. GM goes from 35.5 to almost 40. Ford maybe on a percentage basis, but I just have to wonder. I mean, I still think they got a nice dividend. They played, I believe they have a lot of cash here. So I'm not sure what's behind that ratings cut, but 335,000 shares have traded, down 42 cents and 912. You got to think about that $9 area. As I mentioned, all those lows there as potential support. Another dog that was barking a little bit yesterday, Macy's.
I didn't see that.
Yep. Macy's, a little bit of a rounding bottom here. I mean, you don't know if that's true buyers coming in or just people covering shorts. Down 2 cents. Area of interest here in Macy's. There'll be absolutely no upside until we clear 17.19. That represented the high on earnings day. So let's see if you get some follow through in Macy's. What are they yielding? Like 8, 9, 10% now. So maybe a turn here in Macy's. Not sure about Kohl's, KSS. Good day yesterday for Kohl's, giving a little bit back today. And I just want to check Target. Look at that. That had the gap and go. And I would have thought that thing would be back under $100. No can do. Ran up to 110. So Target, not a bad day yesterday. Growth to value, but this one already trading at new all-time highs.
So I want to go back to something you said with Roku. You said maybe a 2-day move today. So for those who don't know what that means, this is a Dennis theory that essentially stocks tend to move over the course of 2 days. So if they're going to go higher, then they'll go higher on the second day as well as the first day. If they're going to go lower one day, then they'll probably go lower for a second day. And so are you looking for that for a lot of?
Well, a pronounced move.
Right, pronounced, not any move higher or lower. Right. A pronounced move higher or lower.
Like that was a really bad day yesterday. It might be the worst day that it ever had.
Roku?
It made a new all-time high at 176.55, and then trade to 159.80, close at one. That's so on a percentage decline basis. And what that means is, okay, someone wants out, right? And they don't care. They don't care if they're long. Let's say you're long at $75. You're an institution. You own 100,000 shares. Sell it. Hey, you got 100,000 to sell in the open. Take it down to 155. They don't care. They don't care about you trying to scalp 300 shares on the long side or whatever. When they want out, they want out. When it hits its parameters, I don't know if I'd be putting big sell stops in there or anything, but that's a big move. And then also with days like this in Roku, I mean, how many days were you rewarded by buying that thing on every single pullback? Well, do you think the behavior changed yesterday in the stock? People are, oh, I'm going to get this at, well, there really weren't many daily lows to look at. I guess yesterday, Friday's low, 164.85, did have some bounces on the day. So it's, that's what we're mean. A lot of momentum here to the downside. Always, if you're looking to get a short, maybe on a little strength, maybe look for that closing price of 161.03.
That's another good point. Every dip in Roku is bought, more or less.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And when you see that monthly bar there, that big green monthly bar from August, just nothing in there. Well, if it does go into a decline, there's going to be nothing in there on the downside either. So just be aware of that. Stuff that vacuums up through areas can easily vacuum down through areas. And who knows? Someone might be licking their chops here, like on a downgrade or something. That's just pure speculation. But if you come out, someone that has not downgraded the stock, just come out with the old valuation call. It's overvalued here. So, and we talked to Michael Pachter yesterday. I mean, he thinks the stock, what is it, fully valued at 1.5, 110. I mean, it's hard to put a ton of emphasis on that, but just be aware people are still sitting on a ton of profits here in Roku.
So yesterday was a day for the dogs, right? Kraft Heinz had a good day. GE had a good day. We talked about Schlumberger already had a good day. Taking that into account, how do you approach today?
I mean, you still have to approach it. The value trade continues. Stocks are trading up. Bank of America, big move yesterday. For what I would look for any of these stocks is continuation through the previous day's high. Big move. I'll just use Bank of America as an example. Trading SPOOs are down 0.18%. That's trading up 0.28%. Yesterday's high, 28.85. Not much in there at that area. You think about a $29 level as resistance, but what you want to see it stay green. You want to see it take out the previous day's high. And whoever's buying these bank stocks yesterday, I guess they're just not too afraid of lower interest rates here. There was a big move, but always look it through, follow through the previous day's high.
The old mute trick. All right, let's go to some headlines we had from overnight. The chat talking about WTER, the Alkaline Water Company shares were halted after the bell yesterday, and they acquired a company and there was a ratio here, $19.5 million in cash at the close. But WTER, last I had looked at the chart at least, was trading higher after they acquired this company.
Well, someone thought it was going to be good quite some time ago because you're back here at a close of 146 on August 27th. Then you had a big volume day on the 28th, goes from 146 to 180. You got the follow through up to 230, trading up 26 cents at 256. I'm going to look at this 245 area. As long as it stays above 245 here, really opens up on the upside. The stock IPO'd long time ago, never really did much off its IPO except go straight down here, made a high of 21.90, but who knows, volume picking up. We really haven't had like a super like biotech crazy runner like that in a while, where it's a low volume, goes to high volume, low price stocks. All the day traders hop into it and whatnot.
So. Well, we have had them, but nothing to the extent of a of like a Riot blockchain. You know what I mean?
What was whatchamacallit stocks? Marty's.
What was his? Retrophin was his, right?
No, there was another one.
There was another one that he had
that went from like 50 cents to 55.
Yeah, man, that was 2 years ago.
Maybe we give him a call. No, what was that?
Yeah.
Someone help us out in the chat.
Martin Shkreli was he had a couple good calls when he came on our show, but I'm not remembering what they were. But I'll have to go through the archives and find them because the interview was 2 years ago.
There was something biosciences, wasn't it? It had to be biosciences. I bet you someone in the chat will.
Maybe. Let's move on to Apple here. This is going to be the news of the day. You'll see it all over your TVs, all over Twitter. Big Apple iPhone event. Today, we're expected to get nothing crazy. 3 new iPhones, but they're going to be newer versions of the latest model. So the new model, the 5G will be next year. We're going to get 3 incrementally new models today. Probably some new models for iPads and the Apple Watch and a cheaper HomePod, a new MacBook Pro. Incremental changes to all their products here. Nothing really groundbreaking. They'll probably talk about Apple TV, which is probably going to steal the headlines because it's the newest thing. But we're not going to get anything too crazy today from this Apple event. But that being said, it will be in the news and the stock will be talked about.
It was Kalo Bio.
Kalo Bio. Kalo Bio.
Right. I don't know. I mean,
what do you do with Apple here?
What do you do with Apple here? Nothing. I mean, they usually run it up into these events. It's had a super run up here, trading up 18 cents. What I did like, they're coming out with a new smaller phone, right? That's not complicated as much. Did I see that in 2020? They're coming out.
I didn't see that. Maybe.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, 2020 is when they're also going to debut their 5G stuff.
Because everyone makes fun of me because my phone.
Yeah, you're not on the screen yet, but
I'm not on the screen.
No.
Okay. I got the. You know why? Because it fits in my pocket and I don't have to carry it around. So I like it. I'm not kidding. I mean, it's like carrying around a monitor with the iPhone 10 or whatever. That screen's so big. But I don't know. I mean, it's run up into these events and then everyone's disappointed. And then it sells off.
It actually doesn't always run up to the event.
No?
Merrill Lynch did an analysis. This is last year, looking at the stock's performance in the 60 days prior, 30 days prior, day before launch day, day after, and then 30 and 60 days after the event. And heading into these iPhone events, the stock typically underperforms. And then after the event, it really depends. So the day after their iPhone events, the stock is down more than it's up actually.
Okay.
And then in the 30 days after the event, it's 50-50. Last year it was down 3%. The year before it was up 5%. The year before up 1%. But the real trend here is in the 60 days after a new iPhone event, Apple is almost always higher than it was the day of the event. So it was up 9% in the 60 days last year. It was up 1% the year before that. Actually, I'm sorry, 2 years ago it was up 9%, 1% the year before that. Last year it was last year it was down 13%, but we had that crazy fourth quarter. So last year was a bit of an exception. But it is down. It is up more than it's down in the 60 days after a new iPhone event.
All right, we'll just keep it simple here, right? Keep it simple, stupid. You close 214.17, so that's a minor area of resistance. That is your highest close in the stock since on the July 31st, you closed at 213.04. So there's your close. We'll keep an eye on 214.17. If they get a little excited about what they're revealing, you can look at
they won't.
They won't.
They won't. We already know what's going to be. It's going to be more of the same, more of what we had for the last 10 years. That's why I think maybe the Apple TV thing will maybe steal the most headlines because it's the newest big thing. But there's nothing really that new coming today. If we do get something new, it would be a surprise. But these things are always telegraphed.
But be careful if they release that PreMarket Prep is going to Apple TV.
Yeah.
Because I mean, just pull your offers on that. It could probably go to 255 or 260 if that happens.
Yep.
S&P's weakening, down 6 3/4, handles 29.7150. Area of Friday and Monday's lows right here. Let's just call it 29.70. So that's your area of interest. Ford going towards 9, maybe finding a few bids here, down 39 cents. Or make it 42 cents at 9.12.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised today if the shift yesterday from growth to value and then the Apple news today really teams up and hurts Roku, because we know that Apple TV is a direct competition with Roku. It's the same exact product, more or less. So I'd be watching, if you're trading Roku today, I would definitely be watching for that, because it's almost like a double whammy.
What did Michael Pachter say yesterday? He said something about they're valuing it as though it has the content, but it really has the gut. It has the inner workings of the TV. Do you remember what he said along those lines?
It has the pipes, right? And he's right. They are valuing it like it has the content. I've never understood this. I've never understood.
Do you understand like the
I've
whole
never
pipes thing?
understood why Netflix and Roku trade together when they are different things.
How's Netflix doing here? I just want to check that real quick. If this is going to be Roku, man, it breaks, but it keeps trying to come back here. It made a new low of the move and faked people out. God, it got to 282.79. I think that's when Disney said that it was given a free 6 months or something if you disconnected. I don't know. I'm thinking of getting rid of my Netflix. I haven't watched anything on Netflix since the conclusion of House of Cards.
If you get rid of your Netflix, though, your daughters will be upset because they probably use it.
They don't live. I mean, Emily's in Lynchburg, and
but they can use it. I mean, I don't pay.
Yeah,
I don't pay for Netflix, and I use it all the time.
Right.
So think about that.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Hey, listen. Hey, years ago, the head of HBO years ago encouraged people to share passwords because they got more people on the platform watching it. That's all they wanted. So yeah, I don't know, but I only pay. The new economy is to just share passwords with everyone, and one person shares their Hulu, the other person shares their Netflix, and everyone's happy. What about this Google thing, Joel? Every single state AG is teaming up on this antitrust investigation of Google. They're going to start out looking at web advertising.
Good for them. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you go onto these sites, you have to know what they're doing with the information. I mean, how naive could people be? Government getting involved in things.
Finally.
Yeah, you think it's a good thing? I mean,
they did nothing for so long. The regulators are way behind the 8 ball. I mean, you're right. You're right. There is some user responsibility here. You should know. You should at least understand that if their product is free, then you're the product, right? Facebook, you're the product. Your information, your data, that's the product. And Google is the same way. You have to know what they're doing with your information a little bit, but also these companies have been allowed to run wild for 15 years with almost no regulation, no oversight. So they are being targeted here by the 48 state AGs as they're looking at. Basically, we know Google has had a duopoly. Google and Facebook have a duopoly over the digital advertising industry. I think together they account for about 90% of all ad spending on the internet. So we know that they've just, crushed squeezed out every other company. Newspapers come to mind that need to advertise on the internet, but they also control the system. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what comes of this. I don't think it'll be here for a while, but it is finally we're getting something, because the regulators have sat back for too long, I think.
Boy, so Big Brother is gonna come out and hunt Big Brother there. That's good. I see some levels here for Google. Believe it or not, I usually shy away from looking at levels on these stocks, but Google without the L, 1234 is just an amazing resistance level. I know you're 25 points away from there. Actually, a triple top, as close as you can get to Google at a triple top. And then on the downside here, not as good a formation, but let's just call 1190. I call that critical support. Yesterday's low, 92.62. Your low on Thursday was 91.53. So in between 1190 and 1134, it could go absolutely anywhere. But I'd be tempted to take a look if either of those level. The upside probably will not be reached today. Do have a look at just under this 1190. Things look kind of thin until 1171. But for me with Google, aren't they like supposed to have coming out with all these innovations? Aren't they spending billions of dollars to have a company did they change from Google to Alphabet? Because they're going to have to company with every letter in there. Wasn't that the reason for it? Did they call themselves Alphabet? I don't see the innovation.
Well, the other bets haven't really paid off, the other bets unit, but all you need is one. You only need one hit.
Yeah, that's true.
So let's talk about some earnings here. Earnings that we got, earnings that we're getting. One of the biggest losers on my scanner this morning is Wendy's. They reported after the bell yesterday. Excuse me. Actually, they gave guidance is what they did. They didn't report. They gave preliminary guidance. The full year adjusted EPS, they gave a range down 3.5% to 6.5%, and they reaffirmed their comp growth for the year of 3 to 4%. So they lowered their guidance for the year after the bell yesterday from Wendy's.
Look at the run it's had. I mean,
every restaurant stock.
Yeah, man. I mean, who eats at these places all the time?
Everybody. Wall Street loves them. Every restaurant stock. Think about it. Shake Shack, Chipotle, Starbucks. They're all
Is that all people doing is eating out? I mean, is that I don't know. Wendy's, let's get to the technicals here. The bad news is it's down $1.45 at 2050. The good news is that we have bounced off that pre-market low at 1975. And so keep an eye on that as support. We are 65 cents above that level. So what that tells me is there may be buyers here as we go back towards that pre-market low. The low from yesterday will act as resistance. That was 21.91 with a 21.95 close. So if you get a pop up to 22, there you go. That will be resistance. The recent high of the move, a double top at 22.80, 22.84. Snuck another high in yesterday at 22.50. If we really, really start, under $20, that's a pretty good haircut there. 1995 and talk about confluence here. August 15th and 16th, a pair of lows at 1975 on the 19th at 1995. So you do have three daily levels coinciding with the pre-market low. So that gives more significance to me.
All right. The one notable earnings report from this morning is HD Supply. HDS is the symbol there. Q2 adjusted EPS in line at $1.08. The sales was a slight miss, 1.624 versus $1.63 billion. And their Q3 EPS guidance was a little bit light. Q3 sales guidance in line. The full year guidance was also in line. So more or less in line across the board for HD Supply.
Big old run in the stock from the $37 area up to 40 and change yesterday. Trading down $1.82 at 39 even. Really got slammed down to $37, $2 above that. Bunch of lows under 37.50. And then your recent low of the move was at 36.99, another 37. If you get a shot there, that's with the pre-market lows, that's support. If somehow they decide to turn around and rally this, you got $1.30 to go up to fill the gap from yesterday. Yesterday's low comes in at 40.30.
All right, it's 8:34. Let's go to our guest a minute early today, Nick Shaheen. He joins us every other Tuesday. He's the author of Create Income with Option Spreads and also sellspreads.com. Let's see if he's here. Nick, good morning.
Good morning. I am here.
How's your week going so far?
So far, so good. Pretty interesting stuff happening. Finally, a few themes I've been writing, shorting gold, silver, and bonds are paying off. And at least more than 1 day or 1 hour of red ticks in these guys. So I'll ride it until it works itself out.
Is this your first attempt at shorting them, or have you taken a couple stabs at it? How have you played it?
This is the only silver gave me trouble. Silver, I shorted it exactly at the right time. The SLV, it's kind of a tricky ticker to use. I'm not going to rush into doing it again, just because it just reminded me how difficult it is to do it. So the other two were first attempts, and they're working out great. The silver, the first time I attempted it, worked out perfectly, but it had like one day where it ticked down to my target of 1550 in like an instant, and then bounced back and ran against me. So it caused me a little trouble. But back to greens. So, but the other two were easy picks from my perspective as far as timing is concerned. So these were two loved. I think I mentioned here last time I was here, maybe, that the bulls and the thief in this meme that went across, that you have to buy a gold, you have to buy silver. They were too complacent. It reminded me of the old days of where I can't see this faltering. Same with Nvidia. Everything that gets played out too far, it just was about time.
I knew you were playing at least the gold and silver on the long side. Were you able to ride it up on the long side and flip, or did you maybe get out of the long a little bit early and then initiate the short?
I always get out early. So yes is my answer. So yeah, I did play them from the long side, especially gold. I saw an opportunity coming, and I thought it was going to be a breakout. I didn't think how far it was going to go. And even in the bond market as well, in the TLT, a while back, I think maybe in June, I saw a technical move coming. And also the TLT, you've got that acronym going on, TINA, but TINA works for stocks even better. So if they are negative rates in Europe, for example, and if big money wants to invest, park its money somewhere, in Europe, it's guaranteed losses because the yield is negative. So it makes sense that they pile into the US bond, which, in relation to negative is beautiful, but it only delivers a 1.5, maybe just over 2 for 30 years, the yield on the bonds. So it makes sense to invest in stocks because they're probably 5 times better. If you consider that we're up over 10%, then we're up more year to date, but so you get more for your money here. Obviously, it's not fixed income and there's risk to it in the stock market, but TINA works for stocks as well. So I thought both stocks and bonds can rally at the same time.
What about how you playing that with let's just use SLV as an example. Now, did you sell some calls here?
Yes, I sold call spreads, and I sold them at the money. So my stop was going to be tight. I was either going to be wrong or right. So it's basically a coin flip. I'm saying it's had enough. It should fall. If it doesn't fall, I lose money and I close it. If it falls, I make money. So it was like I don't like to do these because I like to leave myself a margin of error. But with the TLT and the GLD, I just bought straight out puts.
Okay, that's no, I know you. The timing on those is just so critical. So good to hear that. What about this move in the financials yesterday? Are we not going into a recession? Are they not lowering rates? Did Jerome send you an email or anything?
Yeah. Well, the financial is, I think the markets are trading them inversely related to the bond market. So if yields rise, the financials are catching a bid. And also what wasn't talked about a lot yesterday was the fact that the yield curve, the one that they track, was so active. It actually flipped, inverted yesterday, and nobody talked about that. I thought, the first time it inverted for like a fraction of a second off hours and people freaked out. And it was active, very active yesterday. So definitely they're sensitive to yield, and whatever is going on in the yield, the affects the XLF directly. Plus, there were some technicals, I think, in some of the big stocks. I did actually do a video recently on that, so if you didn't catch it, go ahead and check it out. So where I thought they would be, it was a good time to go long. The financials, I specifically said Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and as far as the XLF, and maybe Citigroup if somebody wants it, but I wanted to sell puts in them, and I suggested puts to sell, and Goldman Sachs. And then the next day this happened. So it was good timing, and technically it was the time to do it. And but the yield curve is what's actually, I think, is messing with them or helping them at this time.
So set up a long trade and a short. I don't think I've ever asked you a question like this before. Ready? This is a tough one. I want you to set up a long trade and a short trade in Roku.
Oh, okay. So Roku, I've been very lucky. I actually shorted it twice and won. So let's see. Roku it just closed a gap. So if I wanted to set up a long trade, I would sell puts below 120. I would go out as far as I want to, or as far as I can within this year, maybe even January puts, and I would sell puts in that, provided I believe in the company. So I personally don't believe in the company yet, but I'm starting to think that the setup for them for the last 16 years where they haven't made money is changing, because now everybody wants to stream, and if they truly are content agnostic, then this could work going forward, meaning the last 16 years almost don't count from the profitability perspective, because now the environment suits them better as a model. I also thought I read or heard somewhere that they have licensing income. So I like that. I don't know anything about it, so I would want to do homework about that before I commit to selling puts. So shorting it, I would buy puts or put spreads, and not necessarily put verticals, but more like put diagonal.
Explain that.
Okay, so the put diagonal is, let's say I want to short them through November, and I'll buy a November put, say at 140 or 160, or whatever, 150, whatever level I want to. I'd sell a put shorter in time, lower. So this way I get some money in while I wait, meaning I'm patient, waiting for it to break down. But I want to bring in some short-term money because I don't think it's going to happen right away. So the diagonal means that I pick two different levels. I buy the higher one and sell the lower one. This way, if it goes to zero, I still make some money. Whereas you've heard of calendar spreads, same concept, only you sell and buy the same levels. So if it goes to zero, you're screwed. You're not going to make any money because you're long and short at the same place. So the diagonal works a little better.
How often do you do those?
I do those often. Anytime I want to bet on something, I do that.
Do that instead. Okay, let's move to AT&T yesterday, and how many standard deviations was that move higher? It looked like you're going through 40, and boom, boom, boom. Institutions come in. I mean, it's Elliott. He thinks it's worth 60. I mean, you could take his word for it, but what do you think? I mean, is that a big of enough technical move? I mean, it looks like it's giving you a chance to buy it near that area before the move. What I mean, AT&T, I don't want to go out on a limb here, but it might not have another move like that for another 10 years.
I think that's correct. I don't like moves like this out of the blue. They ruin the bullish setup. So if the stock was bullish, and it was off of 34, and if somebody's riding a target, they get the target right away, and it ruins anybody to start it. So I would not start it right here. So this is the it's if you look visually on the chart I posted, this is a weekly chart to every candle's 1 week. You see that it's visually somewhere in the middle of that range. So if you split that whole drop from 43 down to the bottom in half, this is about where it is. So this is a half back test to it. It's a neckline. So whoever was stuck at 38 or 36, now is their chance to get out. So it's going to probably stall it. Let's put it this way. It's not an obvious place to start longs for me.
What about the business model?
I have them, and I can't stand them, and I can't wait to get out of their umbrella as far as DirecTV is concerned. Their business model, I don't know enough about it. I know it pays a good dividend that supports the stock, because in this day, like we just talked about, there's no yield anywhere. So that's attractive. But then again, as long as that is safe, and as long as people believe that that is safe, look what happened to Ford last night. I had a thesis on Ford. I was long Ford, so I'm going to lose some money here today because they got cut. And my thesis was very easy. It's yielding 6.5%. That's not right. So either price has to rise or they have to cut the dividend. So the downgrade in Moody's telling me that maybe they're going to cut the dividend. So if AT&T is not going to cut the dividend, I mean, I would own it. If I'm long it, I'm not going to sell it, but I'm not going to buy it.
Question from the chat. Spencer and Joel will throw Nick in there. Did Twitter put in a reversal candle yesterday and made a new high for the move? and then ended up closing lower. So for me, my definition, yeah, but I think there was some news on it. Nick, any comments on Twitter?
Yes. Twitter is a longer term than 1 day candle perspective. So if I'm trading it short term, that's probably right. But if I'm long Twitter with conviction, it's because I'm not. But if I were, it's because of weekly. It has several cup and handles. You can draw necklines, whatever you want, with a much higher target. So let's put it this way: if it breaks above the recent high that it did, what 48? It's going a lot higher, like 65 maybe.
Yeah, I like to hear that.
Yeah. So plus you have the help from CNBC. I think their loudest guy there, Josh Brown, loves that thing. So every time he gets on TV to ask him about it, he just pumps it. So
Spinner, direct question. Hey, Nick, are you selling the Apple event?
I did yesterday. I did a video on that. Go check it out. It's pretty cool. So Apple, I was long Apple in a couple of ways. I sold put spreads, and I bought call spreads, like I just mentioned, and I booked them like literally minutes before the headline broke out yesterday. Whatever caused it to, I'm drawing a blank now. So out of the blue, get a haircut, and I'm not chasing Apple here. So Tim Cook, onus is on Tim Cook to tell us a great story, and I'm not sure he can. So yesterday, I know what it was. On CNBC, they started. They had two experts there, and one of them even said they were both beating up on it, and one of them even said that Tim Cook should resign or something like that. And then the stock got.
Didn't one of them say that Elon Musk should take over Apple?
Oh my gosh! No, I missed that part. I would have been all over it.
Maybe it wasn't CNBC, but somebody somewhere said
that would have been reason to buy
the step down. Elon Musk should take the helm.
That guy's. I'm going to say it. That guy's an idiot for saying that. You know.
I don't know who said it, but I saw it on my Twitter somewhere.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, so this is Apple was stuck in the box, and then it fell out of it down to 200 and change, and then it was up above it yesterday and then fell back into it. So I just posted it. It's basically stuck in a range, and it has downside potential. I mean, I have friends who are technical analysts, and they were calling for a lot lower prices, and I could see it on the chart. I just couldn't see it in actuality. So I think on a weekly basis, this thing should head to 240 if you look at the weekly price action. So if the markets rally, I mean, why would you want to short Apple?
I don't know. Nick, before I let you go, where can we find your videos?
It's on YouTube. I'll post a link in there. It's the channel is Sell Spreads, and I'll post it in there. Of course, not. I'm too much of an idiot to find it now. Maybe I will. Hold on.
Chat, put in Sell Spreads there.
So there we go. All right. Nick Shaheen is the author of sellspreads.com and Create Income with Option Spreads. Nick, as always, thanks for your time, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Looking forward.
Right. All right, it is 8:48. Dennis is raising his hand here. He wants to, I think, join our show today. So let's bring Dennis on here. I don't know if what his deal is. Dennis, good morning. Can you hear me? Good morning.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. How's it going?
No video. I don't have my video camera set up yet, so you just see
that's probably a good thing.
a name that says DENNIS. I
Probably.
guess. No, it's a good thing. It was a long night traveling back from my cottage here today. Got in late, unloading. Everything's a mess. Trying to set up, log into my stuff. Nothing works obviously this morning, so because I haven't been here for a while. So trying to update this software. So it's interesting. But anyways, that's how it goes. How's it going?
So were you trading yesterday, or were you too busy moving?
I traded a little bit, and what I was doing, I did some swing trades because I was too busy moving for the day trades. The regular ARB stuff I didn't do. You know what I put on? You know the spread that I put on?
Tell us.
Short Roku, long GameStop.
Oh, baby.
Wow.
It was a good one. I've covered the I'm out of the GameStop just because I'm scared of GameStop. But it was Michael Pachter trade really yesterday. I'm like, you know what? It wasn't Michael Pachter that did that because we've been rotating. I've been talking about the rotating from growth to value. So that's what we saw at an extreme level yesterday. And that is what we are seeing at an extreme level here this morning as well. All the stocks with low PEs, and I've still got this going on with a sore throat here, so excuse my voice.
Okay.
But all the stocks with low PEs are rallying here again this morning. The ones with high PEs are selling off. And that includes the consumer staples. So it's interesting, that they've been weak here as well. But basically, your leaders for the last 6 months were your laggards yesterday, and your laggards were your leaders. That continues here this morning. A lot of times you see this reverse on day 2. So, like I said, I sold the GameStop this morning. I might regret it, but I was getting up near $5, and I'm like, okay, I'm out. Still have the Roku short on. Short at 169 yesterday. When I started seeing Shopify break down at the open, I was like, you know what? They're going to do the same thing. This is going to be rotation out. At that time, Roku, I believe, was still flat. So I was like, I think Roku could start to roll over. I took almost no heat on that trade. It went 169, 168, 167. You know what? I was like, I'm going to just walk away from the computer. I put a stop in. I never do that. I'm like, I'm going to walk away. I'm going to pack up my car, do all my stuff, check in every couple hours. Checked in a couple hours later, Roku's 165. Check in a couple hours after that, it's 162. Go to the close, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to cover half of the close. I covered half the close last night, held half. I think it could go to 150, but I don't know. What are your thoughts here? Where do I cover the last half of Roku? I'm intending to cover today. It's down another $4.
Why do you have to cover today? The
Because
stock has been going up constantly. I mean, why don't you let it breathe? Why don't?
I think this is a little too. I think it's going to resume trend. I think a lot of these, could. It's a short-term top, like you saw it yesterday, 176. So I'm not far off, but I've often seen this rotation only last for a few days. We've seen this before. Maybe this is something bigger. Maybe this is like a long-term rotation, but I don't know if I see that yet. So that's why, you see this rotation for a few days. You're seeing at an extreme level here this morning, like all your pharmaceuticals, which have been, pretty good performers, are down here this morning. The banks are all up again. Again, that's TLT is not even moving, but the banks are just up because they were laggards. So laggards, leaders, laggards. But that rotation often flips. So I don't want to overstay my welcome. I'm up 13 points in this trade.
What? Yeah.
In a matter of a day. So, and it's a swing trade. It wasn't an investment in the short side of Roku. So I look at it and I think maybe, we get down near 150, 18, that low from the third.
Yep.
So maybe we get down like 151. Now you've sold off 25 points since the high yesterday. Maybe, it pauses there. Like, could it continue to go down from here longer term? Maybe. The valuation makes no sense at all, but it's still got a story. So, you're fighting the story a little bit. Same thing with Shopify. I still like the Shopify story. I still think it eventually could go to $500. I wouldn't want to be long it right now, though, because that is an ugly candle. That is, you've got to see it stop going down before going long. But if you're short the thing, question is, where do you bring it in?
Well, for sure, I like that 150.18. I mean, we're sitting on the lows of the pre-market session, and
I like that too.
Yeah,
that's where I'm thinking about bringing the rest of it in.
If you could get that, I see that low on the daily chart. There's actually another low at 148.29. So that 150 looks like a really a good number. That'd be quite a move though from here. And I'm just looking at the analyst ratings because I was going to say, hey, maybe someone's going to slap this with a sell rating, but people have tried that a few times and it really hasn't worked out too well. Guggenheim tried a downgrade from buy to neutral. That was back in April. We know what happened. Citigroup tried to downgrade it. You know what happened. Stevens tried to downgrade it on May 28th. The most recent attempt was by RBC on July 2nd. So, there's not. I mean, some people have already tried to stick a fork in it as far as the downgrades go. What about the bank stocks yesterday? I mean, that part of the value trade here.
Yeah, 100% value. A lot of these PEs are 8 and 9. So it's basically, if you run a scan, your PE is under 10. That's what was rallying yesterday. Your PE is over 100. That's what was selling off yesterday. I mean, look at Zoom. Zoom just absolutely murdered the last 2 days. Everything that's, growth, high beta, high PE, they're whacking that. So it's this rotation. I mean, the S&Ps went nowhere yesterday. because the rotation just kind of held it flat. Wicked. That's the most rotation, like pronounced rotation that I've seen in the market in a long time. And it was totally laggards to leaders and leaders to laggards. That's what the rotation was. That's what we saw glimpses of last week. So there was tea leaves telling you this. I tweeted about it. If you follow my tweets, we were seeing it. Yesterday we saw it pronounced. This morning we are seeing it very pronounced. I just wonder if, some of these, you see Zoom losing, 20 points here in 2 days. I mean, if you're short the thing, eventually it's going to bounce, right?
Yeah. Yep. What about and don't take a look. Where do you think stamp.com's at?
Moving up because it's got a low PE, right?
Yep.
What's the PE on that thing?
Boom. Let me pull it up here.
It's funny how, the algos just rotate. So if we go grab the PE on stamps, obviously, the growth, they've got all kinds of issues there, but it does have a lower multiple. I'm trying to grab it too. 12 on the trailing. I don't know what it's going forward.
27 on the forward.
Yeah, but still, they look at and they're grabbing everything that's low multiple. I mean, I'm looking what's up this morning here. I see banks. I see retail, trying to show some life here again, like stocks like GameStop. I mean,
what do they report? Do they report today?
Yes, they do, and that's why I was long it too. Was because you get the you get the run up ahead of the report sometimes, and we've seen look at Michael's, MIK, just exploding since its earnings report.
Oh, macro! I had some.
It's a squeeze to everybody who's been shorting value and shorting, the dogs, the laggards. And if you weren't covered 2 days ago, now you're hurting because these things have had wicked rallies the last 3 days. I mean, General Motors having a good couple days. It's so pronounced, the rotation. Like it's so obvious.
Just makes it.
You don't usually normally see it like this, but I'm looking at my screen, and every single stock that has been lagging was leading. Caterpillar, been a dog for a bit, taken off. Up again here this morning, trading up a little bit anyways. So a very pronounced rotation. You got to be aware. As traders, you have to be aware when the rotation starts. We saw this last week starting. And yesterday, and that's why I shorted Roku yesterday morning. So it's like they're going to follow through. Shopify's getting killed. So Roku's going to be the next shoe to drop here. And like I said, I took no heat on that short. Still short some of it. I'm up 12 points now, 157. But maybe I get a shot at 151. I'm not going to let this thing get away from me either, though, because these are ones that can turn around on a dime.
What about Triple BY?
That's probably rallying.
Yeah, that may.
I didn't look at the chart, but yeah, it's had a good. I mean, retail's kicking it up a little bit. Kohl's, look at the day Kohl's had yesterday. KSS.
Yep.
Macy's, the biggest dog of them all. Good day.
Yeah. And then so what? So are you still getting the computer set up today?
Yeah, I'm getting everything set up. It's just a mess here. So I've got my cable's not working. Because I haven't been here for 3 months. So my cable's not working. Some of my other software is not working. I had to update this. I have no video camera. So I got to do all that today. Get everything set up. Get myself situated. Obviously, I was, when you're at a certain place for 3 months and you're there and you're comfortable. Now you're like, okay, now I'm all disoriented here trying to figure everything out. So it's a good day. Like I said, I just put a couple swing trades on yesterday just for fun. I didn't do any of my ARB stuff, none of my regular day trading stuff. But like I said, I've sold the GameStop now, and I intend to cover the Roku as soon as it starts to show some life. I'm going to cover this thing. But right now, it's showing like it wants to go down lower, so I'm trying to ride it. Maybe trailing stops, like you would say, Joel. I've never been a great swing trader, but I can identify. It's not necessarily never been a great swing trader. I just don't do it. I don't do it that much. I'll do the odd swing trade. Remember, I had IQ riding those for a while there. I think I do okay at it. I just don't focus there.
Hard because when they turn. Paul W. is, and I thought we did a pretty good job of explaining this, but he says things are rotating, and I'm not sure that he gets that. And I
mean, that's what it is. It's money is rotating out of those high beta names, and it's moving into lower beta names. It's moving into the stuff that has underperformed. Money has said, okay, we've milked this stuff for as much as we possibly can. The Rokus and the shop. I mean, they're getting ridiculous. The valuations are ridiculous on all these things. Long term, Roku is not $157 stock. Completely agree with Michael Pachter. That doesn't mean the story's over though. But this is the first sign that the story is maybe going to cool for a bit. So, maybe I should just hold on to the short, but
don't keep a little.
I wouldn't want to be long it. I'll say that.
Yeah. Think about where you would want to sell it if you were long. Paul Dumbers, it's algorithms. It's also fund managers.
For sure.
Yeah,
think about how many funds are piled into Roku. How many upgrades? How many people chasing? They're all scrambling right now. Like, I had people texting me, where do I buy Roku? Things at $160. I mean, it was $30 at the beginning of the year. You're chasing. Could it have continued? The trend was awesome. I said it could go to 200, but it turned yesterday. So, you've got to be aware when these things start to turn. That's when you've got to say, okay, I see Shopify rolling over. I see some of the leaders of the growth rolling over. Time to start selling growth. So look at your leaders. I mean, Shopify has been a leader all year. It was the first one that started to cave yesterday, big time. It was down $10 before Roku was even in the red. It was down $10 right off the hop. That was the tell. It's like, okay, if they're going to sell Shopify down $10, they are probably going to rotate and start selling Roku here anytime. And they did. And Roku opened strong yesterday. I think maybe it was Netflix that was probably helping Roku because Netflix had some news on it. And that was a selling opportunity. I didn't get the absolute high. I just noticed about 20 minutes into the day that Shopify is getting rocked. Roku's still trading green. I was like, I'll take a shot.
And Paul, just one more thing. These managers are just renting these stocks. They're coming into these triple BYs and some of these other stocks. Maybe they have a long-term perspective on them, but they're just pulling money out of
the hedge funds. Yeah.
And they might play it. Okay, let's buy 5 million at 8 and we'll sell it at 10. They're not necessarily saying that, that there's a new story. It's a new stock. This is where they're going to be in the long term. They're just parking their money. They can't, what are they going to get on cash? They have to put it somewhere. And so this is the rotation. So Triple D, you sound a lot better than you did in the car yesterday. So
I'm still rough. I mean, I'm tired and I'm sick. So I've been fighting this cold / sore throat for about a week here, a week and a half.
Yeah, I'm still on too, but we're getting through it together.
I mean, it's the weather, right? It's messed all up now. And now it's supposed to be hot. I'm back in Windsor. It's supposed to be 85 today. And high was like 55 in my cottage yesterday. So you're all messed up from all that. But just be aware of the rotation. This can turn. I don't believe that this is a long-term new trend here. And that's why I'm cautious with this short. If I was long some of these dogs, I would probably be using it to get out. Because the rotation on these dogs typically does not last. I mean, General Electric had a pretty good day yesterday too. Stocks like IBM, Value Tech having an okay day. Other tech not having such a good day, but Value Tech did okay. Apple didn't know which way to go. It's got the event today, so that's a catalyst. But, it's sometimes thrown in with the Momo stuff, but the PE's low. So it kind of just hung out, didn't know which way to go. But the rotation in stocks like retail, stocks like the oil stocks like the banks was very obvious yesterday, and rotating out of stocks like Shopify and Roku, which had just been running for months.
All right, Dennis, we'll let you go. Get ready for the open there. The Apple event's usually in the afternoon, but we're going to...
You know what time that is? It's usually 1, isn't it, Spencer?
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, I think it's noon Pacific time, I believe. Let me check. Or 10, let me confirm that before
It's usually 1 o'clock Eastern, but maybe they're changing it up on us. I mean, that's a catalyst. Apple's had a pretty good run here too. I'm long Apple, long-term investment portfolio, sticking with it. Short term, I have no opinion, but a lot of times these events are selling opportunities.
10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, so same thing. If they say some cool stuff, it can continue to pop. But usually, it seems like 9 out of 10 times these events are, it'll get a little lift, and that's a selling opportunity. So just be aware of that. Unless they say something really awesome, I wouldn't be surprised if it started to leak.
Okay. All right. We'll let you go here. We're going to stay on for just a few more minutes. Spencer, did we miss any tickers?
We got a lot of them. I want to do RH real quick. They have earnings after the close today.
Okay.
Running into it. So it needs to blow it away. We know that. RH is a company that typically, sometimes can, sometimes doesn't, as wild moves on its earnings reports. We have seen this thing rally $20, $30 on an earnings report, and we've seen it give back 20 points on an earnings report. So expect major volatility on this one. That's all I'll say with RH.
And a nice run into the report, kind of back up near all-time highs, not quite. If you're trading this, coming in an area of resistance, 155, these are monthly highs, 55.57 and 57.71. Split that, I call 156.50. If it came into that area ahead of the report, I'd be tempted to maybe take some off. On the downside here, I do see, I see 4 lows, 5 lows, 6 lows, 140. So if they hit it during the report, let's see if it can hold 140. They report after the close.
C-Trip was after the close yesterday. Well, they may change their name to Trip, apparently, but C-Trip beat on their EPS and beat on their sales.
How can they change their name to Trip? We already have a Trip ticker symbol, Trip Advisor.
They would
I don't like that idea.
They would change their name to Trip.com.
TripAdvisor and Trip.com. I don't like that idea at all.
All right, I'll tell them we said that.
Yeah.
I think maybe they'll just merge and then just make it easier.
No.
Maybe that's what they want to happen.
CTRP. Well, they don't love the report. Traded down $1.29 here. You were much lower. Big run up from 31 and change up to 35. Trying to see if I can find a daily low for you. We're trading at 33.82. Keep an eye on that, folks. Your high on Friday was 33.88. So if you're looking for a bounce from this one, it's going to bounce here from Friday's low. After that, not much support to lean on until you get to 33.11. Coming back on the upside after the report, closed near the high of the session, near the recent high. Keeping an eye on resistance at 35.11.
And last one that I wrote down was Dick's, DKS.
How is Dick's doing here? Oh, there you go. Another dog.
Retail.
Barking.
Retail hot.
Yep, there you go.
But you know what? Look at it. Okay, now if you're coming in and you're going to see people chasing these moves. Well, this was $32 a week and a half ago. It's going to be 38 here maybe today. You're right up at the top of the range here again. So, I don't know if I'm coming in now. Needed coming yesterday morning, maybe Macy's, but you got to watch because these things, this rotation typically doesn't last. Like, I don't think we've seen the all-time low here for Macy's or, this is going to be the bottom. I still think the story is broken, but you're seeing a squeeze. You're seeing these stocks get a little bit of life for a little bit because they've been hit so hard. And I think that, long-term, the trend is still not your friend. So I'm putting these in my long-term portfolio.
You don't want it to see the close. You want to see it follow through yesterday's high. You just want to see it keep on going, right? Because when you get these moves, you just want to see the momentum in it. We'll do one more here or maybe two more. Starbucks. Now, this is an interesting chart here. Made the all-time high, pulled back, gave the market some bad news the other day. Kind of shrugged it off here, but I would just keep an eye on 93.03 here. You're $1.19 away. After the earnings, the rise, the fall, long consolidation here. So as long as you could stay above that 93.03 low, I think you got a chance to go back upside here and test the all-time high. But just hold the 93. Real critical here for
again, been a leader though. So I'm cautious on that. It looks like it's ready to fall off a cliff, doesn't it?
Yep.
You take out that low from 4 days ago, which is 93.03. And you think about high growth. You don't think about stocks like Procter and Gamble, but they've been running too. They've been the leaders, and that showed some weakness yesterday. And Coca-Cola showed some weakness yesterday. So you were seeing them rotate out of not only and these aren't low PE stocks either. They're kind of middle of the row, 25, 27, but they're not cheap. So they were rotating the stuff that's been beat up. So I shouldn't necessarily just say it's all low PE. They're rotating the stuff that has been beat up, and they've been selling the stuff that has been strong.
CrowdStrike.
Laggards to leaders.
Stock hands is an order to go long. CrowdStrike, it's 65.02, is trading 65.12. You're leading on the low from yesterday, stock hands. That's all I can tell you.
What's the price?
ERWD. Oh, the price?
I mean, it's been killed. So I don't know if the story eventually turns around. Maybe it does. I think it could test the low, the all-time low of 56. It could. I mean, we just dropped this far. This chart's broken. So I don't follow the story close enough to know, exactly, where, from a fundamental perspective, but this chart is completely broken. I mean, charts like Roku are still not broken long term. This is just a significant pullback here. So, you go out to the monthlies and the stock's still straight up. This crowd CRWD chart looks, completely broken. So I don't know if this is one that, maybe it bounces at those lows, get down to 61, 62. It's probably due for a bounce. Went from $100 down here, but you're definitely trying to call the bottom. I've always lost a lot of money trying to call bottoms.
How about J&J? 2 more stocks in them for sure.
Rolling over. I mean, there's the opioid stuff still going on here, which is a hangover there. It looks like it's ready to roll over here. It's a stock that has really just been going nowhere here for a while, probably because there's so many, the talcum powder, the opioid issue. But, you look at it, and it's been up. It's been doing good the last 5-6 years. If you look where back it was in 2013, it was $70. But, really, it's been an underperformer compared to the other consumer staples.
And also the big mover of the day, we got to cover this one, Francesca Holdings. They really like that report, trading up near $10.
Classic, just perfect. So think about this. This is like your set. This is the kind of stock they're buying here right now. It's a stock they probably has a little bit of short interest on, so you can squeeze the hell out of them. I wish I would have been actually, trading yesterday. This is one I probably would have been thinking about going long into the report. And holy cow, up 85%. But now, if you're coming here buying it now, you're buying somebody else's profits. Is this going back to 100 that it was back in July? I don't think so. I think it's probably a selling opportunity for the longs. When we look at this thing 6 months from now, it's probably back down to $4. But short term, they're squeezing them.
Okay. All right. That's great. Triple D.
And what about AT&T?
Oh,
we were saying how much that was a gift yesterday. It got up to almost $40.
I know. You made
$39.90. I was like, well, why not trade 40? I thought it could go through 40. It didn't quite get there. $39.90, $39, $38. Doesn't even open over 38. Gives it all back. Gifts. Take the gifts.
Yeah,
the biggest thing. And a letter was going to pop it up 10%. Everybody hit the sell button once the stock opened. The whole thing back.
And if you were patient on that, let's say you did nothing in the pre-market, you did nothing off the open, you opened 37.82, you climbed over 38, right? You went to 38.14, so everyone had the jets on, ready for this to go back to 40. For this one, when it came back down through that open, you would have had to catch it with you would have to catch it with a stop. There's no way a human.
AT&T was slow though. It's slow. It wasn't like a whoosh. You could have got it. Yeah. I think you could have got it. Anyways, great call though, Joel. Those opens are so critical. They open if they can't rally. And same thing for today when you're trading these Momo stocks or you're trading, all the retail that's flying. Watch where FRAN opens. FRAN opens at say, even if it said $10. Gets up to 10.20, starts coming back down through the open. That's where I would say I don't want to be long in. So see where it opens, write that price down, let it trade, maybe it squeezes a little bit more, comes back down through it. It's maybe even a shorting opportunity. So just keep an eye on those. That's the key. I mean, it stays above the open, keeps running, then it goes. But if it comes back down through the open, that's where you see it. Buyers quickly become sellers.
Well, you can tell when Triple D doesn't have 75 positions.
Yeah.
I can talk.
Yeah.
I can do some stuff. I can analyze. I literally have one position on right now besides my long-term portfolio, and that is short Roku, which I intend to cover today, especially if we get down there to that 151. But, I mean, you look at here, obviously you had big moves here in a lot of these stocks. I'm up 12 points in it. That's like a home run for me. My day trading.
That's a home run for Dennis.
12 points. It's like my scalper blood is on fire right now. Says cover.
All right. We'll let Dennis cover his short here, and we'll get off. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Thanks to Nick Shaheen. Catch our podcast or rewatch our show on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Please remember. All the information from our show meant to be used as informational purposes only, not for investing or trading advice. Everyone have a great rest of your day. We will catch you on Wednesday.